Good evening and welcome to another episode of New Game Who Dis featuring Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory developed by Cubicle 7. I'm your host and Game Master Grant Berger, and tonight I'm so nervous that I put on cologne before sitting down to record even though I'm by myself.
You look like you smell good.
Thank you so much. That's what I'm going for. It's been my whole pandemic aesthetic, is looking like I smell good.
I'm picturing you like in the mirror in the bathroom, and not with like spray cologne, like an aftershave cologne, dripping into your hands, and then just like look at yourself in the mirror. I can do this.
Showtime.
It's showtime.
Well, tonight I'm joined by three fellow founders of the Glass Cannon Network, Troy, Lavallee, Joe O'Brien, and Skid Maher, and we're also so lucky to be graced by the incomparable Kate Stamas.
Kate!
Oh my God, hi.
Woo!
Hi. Woo!
How are y'all doing tonight?
Oh, we're great.
So good.
I don't know who's going to answer first.
I'm sorry, I'm on satellite delay, reporting from Washington, D.C.
I know. You know what's the best? Skype calls. They are the best. It's my favorite way to hang out with people.
Better than Zoom calls, definitely.
Yeah, way better than Zoom. Because everybody looks so good on Skype.
I didn't hear any of that because we're on Skype. You're going to have to say that again, Joe.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, Grant. I have been devouring this rule book. But as I told you before we started, sadly, I forgot everything that I already learned. Because there's a lot.
You were so into it, you texted me this weekend. Troy never texts me. And I looked at my phone and I went, oh, God damn it. Troy.
Couple nudes. And then I was like, now let's talk about Wrath and Glory.
But yeah, you were like, is the Astronomicon just like the Soul Stone? Is it the Soul Stone in Starfinder? And I was like, yep. I brought up the comparisons between the Starstone that during Androids and Aliens, but without any background in 40K, you were probably just like, yeah, sure, whatever, and moved on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was reading it and I was like, wait a minute, because we play a lot of Starfinder, Paizo's Starfinder, and the warp in Warhammer 40K is almost exactly like the drift, and the Astronomicon is like the Soulstone. You can get back easier because of this major stone. It's like, oh, everybody's just borrowing from each other. It's cool.
Wait a minute. I didn't get that. The Astronomicon is a thing? It's just like a stone?
It's like the North Star, if you think of it that way.
Oh, I got that totally wrong. I thought it was like, what's the thing in Ender's Game? Like the way that the way that they communicate faster than light and like can talk to each other live. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm thinking of Span Reed and Way of Kings, but it's
my God. I'll look it up.
What is that called? Dirigible? Or no, what is it? Something like that.
Yeah, it's something like dirigible, but it's not true.
Mandible, edible, visible, ibble. Somethingable.
Ansible.
Ansible bottle cap.
I thought it was like I thought it was like that because I thought it was how they communicated with each other to know that everybody was okay. I thought it was a communication network. I didn't realize it was like an actual object that is like a North Star kind of focus. That's cool.
Yeah, it's upon the golden throne that the emperor sits when 1,000 souls are sacrificed to keep him alive from day by day, because without it, the warp travel would be impossible. And
now, let me get this right. I've heard 1,000 souls and I've heard 10,000 souls.
It's 10,000. You're correct.
It's 10,000. Last week you said 1,000 too, man. It's really embarrassing.
I know. I've been getting
10 times as many every day.
There's a lot of death in this world.
You think listener mail from our regular Pathfinder listeners is bad. You got to read the Warhammer 40K listener mail. It'll knock your socks off and shoot you in the face with a bolter.
As they should be.
You'll come out of your house and they'll just throw mini paint on you like you're wearing a fur coat.
Speaking of this horrible world that we are playing this game in, where, you know, what is the tagline? In the grimdark of the 41st millennium, there is only war, right?
The grim darkness of the far-flung future, but I changed it to the 41st millennium. I don't want to. It's like changing lines from the Bible, basically. But yes. Go ahead.
Sorry, apologies. Anyway, I was watching a little bit of that Greatest Events of World War II in color on Netflix. I don't know if anybody's seen any of this, but my dad is a big fan. He's like, you got to check out Greatest Events of World War II in color. And so much of what they were showing was all the stuff that's like not on the battlefield necessarily, you know, and there's so much when the entire country, multiple countries are rallying to this horrible, horrific war. It's like everyone's work that they're doing is basically just for the war. It's like everybody is just doing things to support munitions and supplies and food and transporting people and whatever. And I was like, it's sort of, it made me understand this a little bit better. Whereas, you know, it's expanded in Warhammer to entire planets. Like there's an entire planet that just makes tanks, like one kind of tank. That's all they do. And then they just ship it all over the universe to all these battles against these Xenos. And I was like, oh, this is just, it's such an interesting concept and hard for me to wrap my head around, but seeing that sort of like put some of it in perspective. And this isn't just like a 10-year thing. This is forever. It's been like this where everyone is always at war. Horrible.
It's basically rationing for the entire Imperial galaxy forever. It's like, bring your coupon book. Like bring your wagon with the scrap metal down to the yard. Get your credits for it. Like that's for forever. That's what it's going to be like forever.
And you and Kate are from those planets, Forge worlds. There are hive worlds where people live. There are forge worlds where things are made. But yeah, it was really interesting. I was looking at some of the Black Library. There's a novel that I really want to read called 15 Hours. And that is the life expectancy of any Astra Militarum that lands on the planet after they get there. And I was reading some lore conjecture that says the population of most of the planet, you know, you can live up to 700 years as a very well-funded noble. And Adeptus Astartes, Space Marines, can live, you know, ostensibly forever. They're understood to be immortal outside of the dangers they face. But like most planets' population is primarily comprised of people at most 35 years old because everyone gets drafted into the military. And as soon as they do, they die.
And they're probably only used for like what they can produce. And like after a certain amount of time, it kind of goes down.
And if they're working at a manufactorum that has like bad like gas coming out of it, it's like being in a coal mine times 1,000. So they probably don't last that long. But tonight, before we get started, I'm going to throw it around the horn for each of you to introduce your character and to answer a random conversation starter I pulled from the internet. Your choice of which to answer first. Nice little spice I threw in there. Let's start with Britannicus Rex, the Lex mechanic, because I know Joe loves improv.
You son of a bitch.
Joe, can you tell us about your character, or would you like to tackle the conversation starter first?
I will tell you about my character because I love this dude. I don't really remember the voice I was going for. I know I wanted him to be older. An older Lex mechanic, a very awesome archetype in the Forsaken System Player's Guide, sort of an expansion to the Wrath and Glory core rulebook. This archetype comes out of. He is essentially a calculator. He is a human computer that has spent many years training in mathematical calculation and data analysis down to a point where he can affect so many various outcomes with his input, but can also, I'm looking for the exact thing. I lost it, but basically the range is from like the arc of an artillery barrage that's been fired into the air and it's like landing zone, and like human emotion, like, and everything in between. He can like calculate like it's mathematics and probability, which is really fun and really cool. I don't know how he's going to play throughout this adventure, but I think he's going to be mainly your intelligence person, your scholar, your support character. He does not have very high athletics or weapon skill or anything like that. He can shoot a gun, kind of, but his primary attributes are scholar, tech, Medicaid, deception, stuff like that. He's good at those kind of things. So,
do you have a Pathfinder analog that maybe some of our audience could hook into? Is it like an investigator? Is it like... Sure.
It's like a wizard. I think he's like a wizard. Now, you could take you have... the the sanctioned psyker, which is really more like the casters. But I would say that in a lot of cases, they're almost more like sorcerers, right? Where they have this like raw potential energy within them that can just be unleashed, and they have to learn how to control it. In this case, I would say that in this world, it feels like a lot of the tech stuff almost seems like magic to people. The advanced mathematics can almost seem magical. The way that they talk about like having some knowledge of the machine spirit, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. I think people could see him work and think that he's a wizard. You know what I mean? Just the way that he speaks with machines and stuff like that. So yeah, that I guess would be my analog. Any really high intelligence character or scholarly character. Yeah. So what's this pop quiz you have?
We can only thank the internet and a Google search for conversation starters for this next question. Picked at random for Joseph O'Brien. What is a controversial opinion you have?
Wait, are you talking about me personally or Britannicus Rex? Oh, Jesus.
About the game?
What is a controversial opinion I have? I don't have too many controversial opinions.
You or a family member from your hometown.
You or a family member you've blocked on Facebook.
Why don't you come back to me? Let somebody else introduce their character.
Music. It could be like a book. You think the Empire Strikes Back is the worst Star Wars movie, etc. We'll come back though. Let's move on to Iota the Scutarius. Kate, can you tell us about your character, or would you like to answer the conversation starter first?
I'll tell you about my character because I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I know so much. Scutarius is really hard to say. Scutarius, they are essentially like instruments of their god, the machine god, Omnissiah. And like Joe's character, ours are different in that like we don't just see the Emperor as our only god. We also have the machine god, also known as the Omnissiah. And what happens to someone who is one of those is that their parts are slowly replaced over time with just like machine parts, but they can't become too machine to where they lose their humanity because that's like a sin. They can't become like a thinking robot. That's like bad. Innovation is bad. But Iota, she's generally kind of unlikable. She's not able to pick up on social cues. I thought that maybe she's relatively early on in her transition to becoming a Scutarius. So she still maintains some human qualities, but she's losing them.
Sure.
So she speaks very monotonely and very straightforward. Yeah, she's not. I originally thought of this character as kind of like a tank because of the whole like their body is dedicated to the machine god, but they're really kind of more of a really good shooter and less a tank. And there was something else I was going to say about them, and I just forgot.
Well, I love the idea with their insane ballistic skill of being like clockwork soldiers. And an army of like 30,000 of them arriving to a battlefield, all raising their las guns in unison and firing at exactly the same time. And how terrifying that would be. Because normally you see a battlefield and you see stray lasers here and there, but they would all hit exactly the same point at exactly the same time.
Yeah, they're very calculating in that way. One of the cool things about them is that generally Scutarius, like they'll work kind of for a tech priest. And tech priests use them. Tech priests are so freaking cool. Just look at a picture of one and you're like, oh, I want to be one so bad, but they're tier 3. They essentially work for them and they use them tech priests use them to go out into the field and just like gather any and all information and like send it back to them, basically.
It's awesome.
Very utilitarian character.
Very cool.
Very cool. Are you ready for your list?
I'm just going to add in real quick before we get to Kate's thing. I wanted to mention, I just basically went into my character's archetype and didn't mention like what makes him special because you add these other elements that give him more personality. So just real quick, he was taken from a young age and put into the Inquisition. His entire past was wiped from his memory, and he has implanted in his brain something that constantly feeds him dogmatic verse. So he's like intensely religious and in his worship of the emperor and of his desire to snuff out the enemies of the emperor, especially Xenos. He is a Xenos hunter as well. And his particular goal is to, as an Inquisition person, is to identify the breaking point of a creature in interrogation. So pretty dark, dude.
That's kind of similar. There's a similarity with the Scutarius there, where like when they go through their transformation, like they don't remember their past lives. They're just only there for their purpose.
Yeah. So cool.
Well, that's awesome. Joe, we're going to come back to you at the end for your conversation starters. So you have another couple of folks to go through, but let's go to Kate. Again, this was pulled completely at random. Kate, what do you think of tattoos?
Don't get them.
And
ruin your life.
Follow up. Do you have any?
I don't have any tattoos. I would never get one. I would never ruin the sanctity of my... You don't put a bumper sticker on a Porsche, you know? So...
I love both of these are near the top of a list of 250 suggestions for conversation starters. Like two very personal questions to start off with. Could you imagine
that
a 5
is
minute
actually...
date?
I think that's a good one, though. The tattoo one is a good one because, you know, even if you're asking somebody without any visible tattoos, you know what I mean? It is a good conversation starter because people are opinionated on it. And it just like, it triggers conversation about a lot of different things.
Well,
is that what Joe's controversial belief is? I hate people with tattoos.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to pass?
My controversial belief, yeah. People with tattoos is they can't be trusted.
I can't be trusted.
I mean, you're half right.
No, I thought of mine. Let me just get it out of the way because I thought of something that's actually true and is lighthearted enough because we're playing RPGs. We were just doing Pathfinder analogous characters. I have a very strong opinion that not everybody agrees with, which is that monks are completely useless in Pathfinder and terribly built class. So much so that they're essentially unplayable, especially at low levels. So there you go. Hate the monk.
Wow. Perfect. Well, now let's go on to everyone's favorite death cult assassin. Troy, you have an option to tell us about Wombat Sextable. Sextable? Or let's tackle a conversation starter. Your choice.
I'll talk about old Wombat. You know, a lot of people get that wrong. They think it's Sextable, but he'll be the first to correct you. It's Sextable. It's Wombat Sextable. He is a death cult assassin, which in the world of Warhammer 40K just takes the you think, oh, an assassin, death cult, I got it. Do you? Because their whole thing is like, they don't just assassinate people, they ritualistically dismember, bathe in their blood, drink it, wear it, like go out of their way to put on a show for their kills, all in honor of the Emperor. And it's the type of thing, like when Grant and I were talking before the first episode even, it's like, this would be heresy if anyone else was doing it, and it's borderline heresy for even the death cult assassins do it, but the people that hire them are like, it's fine, just let them, they're the best at what they do. If they're gonna be a little dirty going about it, that's fine.
That's what you share in common with the Lex Mechanic and the Scutarius. The Omnissiah is technically worshiping him, an act of heresy, but the Adeptus Astartes, the Ministerium, the Ecclesiarchy says, oh, they're referring to the Emperor by another name. And it's only because without the Scutarius and the tech priests of Mars, there would be no way to service any of the machines in the Empire. And without death cult assassins, there'd be no easy way to get rid of troublesome politicians.
We make the world go round, is what they say. They are... I'm really excited to see how this guy rolls out, because if there's social encounters, what the hell am I going to do? I'm a killer. I've got an 8 weapon skill, a 6 athletics, a 5 ballistic. I'm a killer. This guy can't be like, I can't like order a bagel from a store without killing the bagel proprietor. So I'm interested to see how he actually plays in the world of this game, because I really don't know how it goes.
The Death Cult Assassin does have a bit of an Edward Scissorhands aesthetic with the body glove and also just these 2 giant blades. I would love to see you get a bagel. You could get like 30 of them on one blade.
put a dozen bagels on my power blade. I will not be paying for the cinnamon raisin.
No one ever does, because you don't want to put cream cheese on that, and then it's going to be dry going down, and there's usually not butter at the office. So what are you going to do with the dry cinnamon raisin? Awesome.
So we were a weird hill to die on. He'll pay for every other bagel, but not the cinnamon raisin.
So I was recently at an airport for the first time first time since the pandemic, and it's slim pickings. Like, a lot of places are closed. A lot of the retail places are closed. There was a bagel place open in the morning. I was like, just get a bagel before I get on my flight. Go over to the bagel place. Line is 15 people long. By the time I get up there, every single bagel sold out. 7 cinnamon raisins stacked on top of each other in one box. And I was just, literally the woman in front of me got the last whole wheat bagel. And I was like, if I could, God damn it. I'm fine with cinnamon raisin, but it was just so funny how many people just don't want cinnamon raisin.
Well, it may not be a controversial opinion not to like cinnamon raisins, but I've saved the most controversial question thus far as a conversation starter for our group agent provocateur, Troy Lavallee. Are you ready for your question, Troy?
I am.
If you had intro music, what would it be?
If I had intro music,
brutal.
what would it be?
If you were walking to the mound, you're the closer. And now step into the mound.
If you had to come out
For the Boston Red Sox.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. And I would just strut out of the bullpen. Those fists were fast as lightning. I'd maybe do a little kata on my way to the mound. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. Here he comes. He's blown 14 saves this year. We're 3 weeks into the season.
I love it. He's blown 14 saves and you're out there just...
He's really putting the show. There's been talk of not even sending him to the minors, but just banning him from the sport. Oh, there he goes. Little somersault. That's fun.
I like to think you're trying to parlay your failed pitching career into a job as a mascot somewhere by showing off your moves on the way to the mound. I like that. That's smart.
Capital City Goofball.
Well, that brings us finally to Skid, the Adeptus Astartes himself. Your option to tell us about Azrael, the Space Marine Scout, of whom you said being able to play was a dream come true. Or, to answer the conversation starter, no one has chosen the gamut of the conversation starter first. Will you break this chain?
Sure, I'll break the chain. Chains are forged to be broken, as the Space Marines famously say.
Yes, indeed.
It's in their credo.
They're really known for being really chaotic and out of line.
Yeah. They're such free thinkers. It just makes sense.
Your question is so specific that I actually have a backup question. Have you ever saved an animal's life?
Yeah, sure. I fed them.
Great.
Repeatedly.
If he didn't do that, they'd
Thought
die.
about it that way. Well, I kept it inside and fed it, so yes.
Several years in some cases.
Had he not done that, they would have died.
They just died.
That's true courage to be expected from a Adeptus Astartes scout.
I
Skid,
kept your animal from dying on a few occasions.
You did. And my animal would certainly have died without your kind assistance.
Still alive to this day.
I'm surprised as a Space Marine you still had love in your heart to take care of such a small, meager animal. Well, tell us a little bit about the Space Marine Scout you're playing.
So his name is Azrael, and he is an aspirant of the Absolvers chapter, which is the primary chapter here on this planet, cut off from the rest of the Imperial Light. And he was raised on a farm, basically the way I see it. He was basically a small town, and his mother is super devout. It was her dream for her son to serve the Emperor, and reaching this pinnacle that, like I said earlier, the other broadcast, the odds of even seeing a Space Marine, if you're just a regular Imperial citizen, over the course of your lifetime are about 1 in a trillion, probably. So much less becoming one, it's just an impossible fantasy. So he was chosen by the chapter. They're sort of desperate to fill the ranks because of the situation they find themselves in. And he was strong, brave, and he has been trained by the chapter. He has had this gene seed implanted. He has all of his new organs that Space Marines get. He's now 9 feet tall, superhuman. And he is still on the verge. He still remembers his human life, but he is on the verge of losing that identity completely. He's sort of riding the line right now. So his dream is to serve the Emperor, and he's sort of clutching at straws of his last memories of his childhood. His mother, the village that banded together to fund his trials to become part of the Space Marines. So that's where he finds himself.
I love that scene, thinking about you having your last day at the village, saying goodbye to everyone you loved and adored, and your mother reaching up to touch your face one last time before you ascended beyond humanity itself. But I also like to think maybe since you're a scout, maybe the village that you lived in is on the outskirts of your tour, where you have to make sure there are no demons incurring into the village, and maybe you look from a distance as your mom. It's like putting laundry on a line or something. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a hell of an adventure ahead, which I will recap shortly. But before we go any further, I've got to give thanks to our amazing friends at Cubicle 7. Yes, indeed.
C7.
C7. We're giving away 1 physical copy and 1 digital copy of the beautiful Wrath and Glory core rulebook. We're also giving away 1 digital copy of the Forsaken System Player's Guide, which is a massive expansion of the core rulebook that gives you oodles of lore and new archetypes and races to play. Like 20 new archetypes. It's crazy. Finally,
and just to clarify, in case anybody missed it from the introduction of where we are in what's basically referred to in slang as the Forsaken System. This is taking place in a system that is cut off from like the rest of the galaxy right now, and it's just we're forsaken. We're out here on an island alone in the darkness, and so this guide delves even deeper into the setting. 20 new archetypes, different orders, new split outs of under the Inquisition and the other orders. Is really awesome expansion.
A great way to like really zoom in the lens on just one corner of the known galaxy to really flesh it out in a beautiful way. And finally, we're also giving away an amazing collection of adventures for Wrath and Glory called Litanies of the Lost. It's 4 great adventures. I hope maybe we'll return to this universe and play one of them. We'll see. Joe, what do people need to do to enter and win tonight?
Go into chat right now. Brennan is going to drop in chat a link that you need to click to go to a separate page, which will take your information for the giveaway, which is basically just your email. Enter in through that way, and we'll get back. We'll announce a winner within chat by the end of the night tonight, and then we'll reach out to you. So we've got 4 different winners. Like Grant said, a physical copy and 3 digital copies of various things that Cubicle 7 is publishing. Really awesome. Thank you to Cubicle 7 for giving us those. And we hope you guys enjoy them. So yeah, keep an eye on chat. Brennan will just spam that kind of throughout the night, and you can enter as the night goes on.
Good luck. And it's time for my controversial opinion. Joe, I'm going to need some music for this recap.
Take it to the recap. Okay.
Bring it,
what kind of music? Like, reggae? Or are you looking for steel drums?
Perfect.
Caribbean?
I'm thinking, like maybe is there?
I mean, we're on an island, right?
Right, we are in a Forsaken System.
Is there a steel drum infused K-pop song you can play for me? Maybe
little bossa nova.
I got you, man. I got you. Let's do this.
Well, the adventure began with the agents awakening from a drug-induced coma aboard the Memento Mori, a gigantic Gothic freighter chartered to travel from Gilead Primus to Daedalon. The ship's cargo? Well, it was carrying tens of thousands of corpses. As soon as the agents woke from their coma, they began to struggle against the weight of the dead bodies suffocating them. But right in the nick of time, The cargo bay doors of the Memento Mori opened wide to dump the corpses and the agents onto a landing pad nestled next to the Priory of the Sacred Form, a corpse starch processing plant attached to Barrister Cathedral. The agents were stripped of their belongings, wearing only robes, wobbly-footed on countless rotting corpses. Britannicus found a mysterious data slate stitched into his robes with a message from interrogator Perdita Mendax. And remember, Britannicus, you're to keep your connections to the Inquisition secret.
Got it.
Perdita Mendax is their mysterious benefactor who tasks them with finding and retrieving an even more mysterious Xenos artifact known as the Revelator in the Gelfratus Mausoleum. The only problem is there are billions of mausoleums on Daedalon. Perdita suggested they could have a look at the records present at the Librarium Mortem and to look out for a ne'er-do-well named Diomedes who might be able to help. Attached to the data slate was a stalker flare that your group is to light once you've secured the Revelator. However, secrecy is of utmost importance to this mission, and as such, the data slate will self-destruct in 10 minutes. We ended last week with the sounds of chanting in High Gothic. Tantum nex officium terminus ave imperatur, nos moriturite salutamus. It's all coming from the Priory of the Sacred Form, from 4 robed figures shuffling towards the landing pad upon which the 4 of you stand atop 10,000 corpses. You were warned by Perdita Mendax to skedaddle before the corpse tenders came. To avoid their detection, what do you do?
Try to slink away. Yeah.
What is the skedaddle action? I'm looking.
I don't have that on my sheet.
I don't have
do you
a
have it
number
on your
in-
sheet?
Did you guys get the copy of the rulebook localized for the southern United States? That's what I made it from.
Oh, it's in the Forsaken System Player's Guide. I see it here. Skedaddle.
Skedaddle. It's affected by your agility score.
Skedaddle, in parentheses, AG.
Wombat's torn. Wombat's torn because we were told to skedaddle, but a corpse tender, that's just somebody you want to kill and bathe in their blood. Because they've seen more death than anyone. Perhaps killing someone like that would just be the highest honor to the Emperor. So I am very torn as to what to do. Though our orders were to skedaddle, I feel as if I should murder.
You might want to kill them because of your devotion to murdering in the Emperor's name. However, you would know that the Emperor would frown upon this as their duties are attached to the Barrister Cathedral itself, the holiest of holy places on Daedalon, a part of the ecclesiarchy. So murdering one of them would be an act of heresy.
Wombat is just like, what am I saying? I must control my urges. My entire family was given over to the ecclesiarchy. It is our tradition. It would be heresy to kill these wonderful people. If anything, I should kiss them on the mouth. And then I'd start to skedaddle.
We will skedaddle over the pile of corpses to try to get out of line of sight.
Yeah, and as you look around, go ahead and give me an awareness check. That's modified by your intellect score.
Ooh.
Okay.
Let me know how many
Now we have this
icons.
wrath die. We always roll a wrath die, right?
And
Well,
right
almost
now,
always.
Right now you have 2 glory points. And if you should roll another 6, a exalted icon on your test, you can add to that pool.
I got 2 successes, unless that was just a Joe roll.
2 successes.
Everyone can do the awareness roll. 2 successes from Kate.
2 successes from Britannicus.
Okay.
5 successes for Azrael.
No.
You're aware as heck.
2 exalted successes and 1 regular success on the wrath die.
Beautiful. So all of you are able to see the passageway leading into the Priory of the Sacred Form, which is attached to Barrister Cathedral with your awareness check. What Azrael is able to ascertain with his heightened senses as a Space Marine scout is he's able to calculate the trajectory of their vantage point and can tell that there's no place for you all to go without them seeing you. So he might let you know that there's no place to hide, and the best chance you have might be to have someone who's skilled at stealth lead you through this. Maybe hide amongst the corpses, much like your items were hidden in a false cadaver. Does anyone among you have stealth training?
I do.
am adept.
I'm afraid I do not.
I do not.
Who is the stealthiest among us?
Azrael, I believe I have the skills that are necessary.
Watson, would you be willing to put a numerical value upon your stealth as you see it?
Let me close my eyes and pray to the God Emperor. 7.
That is certainly impressive, brother. However, under these circumstances, my number would be quantified as an 8.
Oh, I kneel before you as my new emperor.
And all of a sudden, you see Britannica slowly turns to look at Wombat. He's got this like straight, thinning white hair that comes like to below his chin, partially hangs in his eyes. I imagine him as like an old, imagine like Geralt of Rivia, but like old. And it's just like hanging in his face. And he just looks, he's like, "What did you say?"
It was merely a joke. It is one of my traits. Gallows humor.
Oh God, I forgot.
Get ready for more zingers like that throughout the night.
Sextable, humor is one thing, but you must never say this again. It is the utmost heresy against the holy name of the Emperor.
You are aware that
apologize.
none of us can take a joke.
That is clear. I have 2 jobs on this mission: to kill and to entertain.
Are we killing it so far? I feel like we're killing it.
I know. I'm looking at it. I'm like,
By my calculations, they arrived 40 seconds
They're all
ago.
standing over us right now.
Sitting there.
we just slowly turn, and all the corpses standing there looking at us like, "Why are you alive?"
Can it seems like Azrael and Wombat have good stealth scores. Can we like grab one of the other 2 and just like help them?
Absolutely. So why don't both of you give me a stealth check and let me know what your result is.
Okay. Ooh, boy, that's a big old roll. Oh, okay. Ooh, 3 exalted.
Oh, wow. So 6 successes thus far. Do you have any regulars?
Yes, and 1 other, so 7 successes. Now, on a test like this, I don't know what the DN is, but if do you tell me the DN and then can I shift some of this to like glory or something?
So as far as the test of this, it's going to be against either the passive or the active awareness of the enemies, depending if they're actively looking for you or just kind of in the area. I'd say this is in kind of a gray area. I'm going to say that it's going to go against their active awareness, which I'm not going to tell you what that is. And it's going to be against their active awareness because I see this scene playing out as the 2 of you kind of finding the stealthiest spot, grabbing one of the people next to you and like diving into the corpses.
Okay.
Skid, how many? Go ahead.
Sorry,
Joe.
can you clarify for me again and for anybody else? Just for everybody else, not for me. Exalted successes and regular successes?
Exalted icons are when you roll a 5 on a d6. Regular icons are a 4 or a 5.
You said
Did I say
5,
that?
you
I
meant
said 6. 6 on a d6. Regular successes or icons are a 4 or a 5.
Okay.
So, and an exalted icon counts as 2 successes towards a DN check.
Got it.
And Skid, how many successes or icons did you get?
So I got an exalted icon and a regular icon. A very, very horrible roll. So 3 successes.
Okay. So we're going to go against the awareness scores of this group of corpse tenders. Okay. Only 2 successes in there.
Whoa. Lucky
Sorry,
there.
yeah, I should have shifted.
2 5s as well, which means that I was like 1 little die away from getting there.
I would think that Skid's character Azrael is going to pull down Iota because Iota's like a very large person. So maybe the fact that it was 2 large people trying to stealth together lowered it.
Yeah, drew some attention. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me what you guys
have to
do.
hide.
Come here, old man.
We have to hide like E.T. in the toy closet. Look like a couple of corpse heads sitting on a pile of them.
Yeah,
Easy.
I think that it was easier for Wombat because Britannicus kind of looks dead when he's just walking around. So he's like, "Get down!" And Britannicus lays down and just like, "Oh yeah, that's a. How did he live that long in this horrible world?"
Iota's face down because she doesn't have eyelids, so like that might be a giveaway.
That corpse doesn't have eyelids. Get him!
And she has to have goggles on, so yeah.
So Rex and Azrael pull down Britannicus and Iota, and you kind of hear the Doppler effect. You hear the chanting getting closer to you, and then you hear it going away. Ave Imperator, nos morituri te salutamus. And that is Latin for "Hail the Emperor, to the dead we salute you," as they're walking away. Another neat little fact I figured out is that Gothic itself, which is the common language, or Low Gothic and High Gothic, have actually changed over the years. So really old Space Marines sound like they work at Colonial Williamsburg. Like they're talking in like old-timey English all the time. It's really fascinating to think about. So another neat thing about stealth is like during a battle scene, the rolls you had would be a 7 and a 3 from Skid. And that's the total stealth pool you're working for the entire scene. And your stealth gets reduced over time. And when it gets to 0, you're detected by the enemy. Some examples of stealth score reductions are -1 for whispering, readying a quiet weapon and snapping a twig. -2 for talking softly, readying a weapon with moving parts, so cocking a gun. Talking normally is -3, attacking an unaware target with a knife. So that's really awesome. So
See, that's great. So I roll a 7, right? Say we're sneaking up on some guys. I roll a 7. I can sneak up there, stab someone, and potentially kill them. And now I still have a 4 stealth to work with. There might be another guy, sneak up there, stab a Roo, and I still have 1 stealth. And then I can call it the rest of the party.
Right, and like with a 7, you could get in. You could take out one person with a knife, and then get into a sword duel with the rest of your stealth points, or engage a grav vehicle's engines. So
it's really cool. Really cool.
It's great. It goes all the way up to a -6 for firing a weapon with the bolt keyword or triggering an explosive.
So I'm sorry, just so I'm clear, you can pick this after you've made your roll. You can choose your actions that you do while in stealth based on the amount of successes you rolled, or do you have to say what you want to do first, take the penalties, and then roll?
Rolling your stealth is a combat action, so you basically give up whatever you could have done on that turn in order to act stealthily on subsequent turns. And yes, when you engage in those actions, you reduce your score, you resolve said actions, and then move forward from there. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yep.
All right, so you're face down in these corpses, and you hear the corpse tenders walk away. You slowly stand up, and you see the passageway that led its way from the landing pad. It's the only way out of here, so I'm going to say that you sneak your way through the outskirts of the landing pad into the Priory of the Sacred Form. As I mentioned earlier, it's attached to Barrister Cathedral. It's equal parts church and factory. And as you peer through the doorway, maybe you're trying to do so stealthily, you see there are thousands of people toiling away at the corpse starch processing machines. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. All these processes going through turning a formerly human body into edible starch. What do you do upon seeing this massive assembly line? Seems like you're going to have to get through here to get to the cathedral.
Oh, boy.
Do you see another way, another path we could take?
I have an idea
Wombat.
if we can't stealth. Perhaps I can make one of the machines falter so they focus their attention on that machine
How would you do that?
by speaking with it. Because I can talk to the machines.
All right. So tell me how that ability works.
So, where is it? Let me see. Is it binary chatter?
That makes sense.
Binary chatter is that I'm adept at controlling mechanical constructs, but then I can also talk to them using the mind. Yes, the mind impulse unit. I can converse with a machine spirit as an action. This may require a tech test for unruly spirits. If you succeed, I gain plus double rank bonus tests to all rolls that I do to operate the machine. Those two balance each other, yeah.
So Wombat and Azrael are stealthily around the corner, and maybe the Lex mechanic is like standing right behind them, calculating everything he sees, and then Iota kind of peers around with her lidless eyes and begins to converse with the machine spirits of these corpse starch processing plants. I'm going to give that a difficulty number of 4 on a tech test. So that is your tech skill modified by your intellect score.
Let me help. I know a thing or two about this machine.
He looks it over. He recognizes the machine because he basically knows everything. And so I'm going to use my ability, which is statistical certainty. So I will aid you, or I will help you in this test. In so doing, I will roll my tech skill, which is 5. So, or I will add 5 bonus die to your roll. Now remove one of them, and you've got 4 bonus die, but one of those is an automatic icon.
Awesome.
So basically, you already have 1 icon, and you still get 4 bonus die. So, just happens to be the tech is one of the things I'm most skilled at. So.
Cool, I have 10 dice.
Wow. Okay.
And
you only need 3 more success icons.
Joe just described aiding another in this game very well. It's up to the GM's discretion when and where an aid can happen. And
I'm sorry.
But this works perfectly for this. You were describing what you wanted to do. I agree with what you're doing, particularly as a Lex mechanic, working with a tech check to be able to provide assistance, kind of diagnostic data to Iota as they go through and try to talk here. So go ahead and roll it.
All right. The Wrath die is fine. I've got 2 of the double ones and 1 regular.
So a 5 total against the DN4 check.
2, 4.
Plus 1.
5, 6 total.
Beautiful. So you are able to speak to the machine spirit, and you can hear its single-minded voice just saying, food, 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 food. And maybe you like interject another word in the middle of it. Yeah, what do you interject, Kate?
Break.
It goes question mark, huh? And then an entire pneumatic arm flips off and takes out like 10 of the workers as it does.
10 workers die instantaneously. Kate!
It was Iota, and this is all for a good cause.
Yeah,
Messiah willed these deaths.
Rex is like, I really should have killed one of those corpse tenders if we could do that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to say that the machine spirits are unwieldy, and since you are praying to the Omnissiah, they were unmodified and too far away from the Omnissiah's glow, so overall for you, it's not going to cause any corruption or anything like that. So you see this area clear out in front of you, and you can kind of walk in, and as you do, you're much closer to the workers than you were before. Everybody give me an awareness check and let me know your results.
Awareness.
Oof, 1.
Ooh, 2 icons.
The Wrath die, it only matters if you get a 6.
Or a 1.
Or 1.
Right.
And the complication is neat because the complication doesn't necessarily mean you do not accomplish your task. It just adds a complication to it.
Right.
Two icons. 2 successes.
Okay.
7 icons.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Did you say 4 and 5 count as an icon?
No.
Just 5?
4 and
4 and
5
5
count as 1. 6 counts as 2.
Yeah, so 7.
Wow.
7 icons.
Good roll.
So everyone else is able to gather what they were from the doorway except for Britannicus. You look at these workers closely and you see that they're all wearing gas masks that cloud their vision, making it difficult to detect you at all. And they don't even think to turn around because their total attention is consumed by the cacophonous tremor emanating from the machinery. You see that you only disrupted a small part of the assembly line. It's enormous. And the unceasing assembly line of corpses just keeps on chugging along. In between the workers, every 100 or so, you see priests interspersed between them, duty bound to bless all the corpses brought to Daedalon. You see a small fraction of those blessed diverted from the main assembly line, away from the corpse processing machine, somewhere else. Yeah.
A group of priests standing in another location?
There, every 100 or so unskilled laborers working these machines, there's a priest that's blessing the corpses as they go through this process. And then they also are on the same kind of diverted line that's going away from the main assembly line, not going into any of the corpse processing units.
Oh, man. This is tricky. So we've got a little diversion here, but there's still hundreds of people in this room.
But
They are having troubles. They'll have trouble seeing us through their masks. I think we could probably sneak by unnoticed.
Does anyone have a lore that could tell us what's going on there?
That would be a scholar check. So if anyone has scholar skills.
I have scholarly skills.
2 successes.
7 successes.
And no exalted?
1 exalted.
So Rex thinks that they're being diverted off to be turned into Toyota Camrys. Britannicus, on the other hand, realizes through this previous knowledge, probably going through some otherwise totally unnoteworthy bureaucratic procedure like he did in the past, that the branch in the assembly line is for those fortunate enough to be able to afford burial. They're being delivered to another facility to prepare their bodies for their tombs. This tiny fraction of people will enjoy their rest in peace, whereas the vast majority are declared no longer human through this priest blessing procedure. Their soul has departed to be with the emperor, and their bodies are to become meat to feed his people.
Wow.
Good luck with all that.
Yeah. For real. I mean, do I think from the awareness that we could sneak by?
Yes.
Yeah, because their gas masks are so clouded, and they're just so focused on what's in front of them.
I don't think we need fear. We could sneak by this rabble.
I wonder if any of my skills would make it easier, because I know I could get through with ease. Yeah, no. All right, I'll roll stealth, and maybe I can, like, Wombat can find the easiest path, so
Sure.
I'll go up ahead, and it's like, if I roll really well, I feel confident enough to be like, just follow me now.
Sure, and again, I'm not going to let you know the DN of this check,
Sure.
so you're going to have to go in blind.
Oh, right. Oh, rocks. 6 on the Wrath die.
Okay?
So that's a
Ooh.
Wrath critical, right?
Yeah, right?
And then another Exalted die and 4 5s. Dude, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes with 2 Exalted and a Wrath critical.
Amazing.
I'm not even going to shift one of those Exalted because this is a big stealth moment here.
Well, I'm going to say...
You see Wombat cartwheel, slide under a machine, grab some of the food, eat it, and then spin over another guy. tap one guy on the shoulder. He looks this way, and then he slides by him. And he's on the other side of the room, and he just waves.
Dude's just like in his gas mask.
Yeah, I'm going to say that, like, you can suggest to me, like, a secret passageway or some door that you open up, basically, that lets you, like, go under the machinery. I think that would be a cool thing. Like, you're so stealthy, you're able to see things. You're not distracted by any of the extraneous information that's so overwhelming while you're in there.
Maybe there's one part of the machinery, like the assembly line, that isn't being used right now. And so Wombat slides over to that and goes into the machine and like starts crawling around this little duct and comes out on the other side.
Perfect.
Yeah, so just, come on.
Follow me.
He yells across the room.
Okay, we'll follow in this, this currently empty machine space.
You follow your way through these ducts, and you can see through kind of slits in the air vents the workers and the priests and the corpses being brought down the assembly line. And through them all, you see servo skulls. Does anyone know what a servo skull is?
No.
Skid, you're nodding. Do you want to take a crack at it?
Well, they're basically they're servitor spirits of departed people who inhabit these skull machines, these little machines that kind of like run around doing sort of basic tasks, right?
Yeah. They're human skulls, and they're fitted with support systems and an anti-grav motor, so that's how they float around. And my favorite quote in the entire book is from a servo skull. It's "We're click from Scully, beloved servo skull of Inquisitor Lucetta Gargreef."
Or click.
They're mostly concerned with an area. You see, each area of the facility is designed to utilize the different parts of the bodies: bones extracted for building supplies, skulls plucked and packed for the servo skull manufactorum. So they're looking for the peachest skulls they can find to turn into servo skulls.
Oh man!
As we go by, I feel like Iota is really giving them the look, because I feel like to her this could verge on the territory of people becoming machines fully.
You think that for a moment, and then maybe since you're newer to being a Scutarius, you kind of remember one of the trainings you did, and you know that the Adeptus Mechanicus regard these creations as excellent servants, and their machine spirits are exceptionally faithful and pure. Maybe because they have some degree of humanity left in it. Maybe the souls that are departed to live with the Emperor are still kind of there, and that humanity makes them more malleable. And the cool thing about them is their small size and maneuverability allow them to enter otherwise inaccessible spaces or hazardous areas. So you might see one like kind of go past you with its anti-grav motor, and like the red laser from its eye like scan over the air vent and click, but like not see through the vents at you. Maybe you want one day. Maybe later in the adventure you might be able to get one. So you guys make your way through these vents, and you crawl and you crawl and you crawl, and you finally get out of the other end of this machine, and you see the entryway to a massive factory church. Out of this massive factory church and into Barrister Cathedral itself through a cloister. You guys walk out into the night air, and as you gaze up at the altar of the Emperor inside of the cathedral, basking in his golden light, those of you who are particularly devout, I imagine the Space Marine Scout and the Death Cult Assassin, enjoying this more so than Iota and Britannicus, you notice prominently displayed glass-crete caskets. These are the most revered citizens of Daedalon. You see 10 enforcers guarding these caskets at all times, like the tomb of the unknown soldier. And the cathedral itself is one gargantuan room in which regular sermons are held in between shifts. So all the workers will leave when the whistle blows and have a sermon and then head right back to work. Yeah. What do you do?
So we need to get past where they are? Is that the problem?
Yeah, if you're not going to be doing anything to the Glass Creek caskets or approaching them, you're probably fine. You see the entrance to the cathedral itself leading out into the street ahead of you, so you could go ahead and try to whistle your way past the graveyard.
God damn it. Well, I mean, should I do maybe like a scholar check to know if there's any value, like particular value that could be found in these things in terms of our mission?
Yeah,
the details of our mission. Okay, so a real quick scholar roll. Here we go. That is a 6 on the wrath die.
Oof.
And then 3 icons. So 3 icons plus an exalted wrath critical.
I think you guys now have 4 glory in your pool.
Wow.
As you're looking at these Glass Creek caskets, maybe you have an augmented information sensor somewhere in your ocular implant, and you're able to zoom in, and you see in bas relief underneath one of the Glass Creek caskets the name Bara. The Bara family is for which Barristir is named after. So you know that these are just the creme de la creme and revered. So they're kind of like, you know how every Catholic church is supposed to have like a piece of a saint in it, basically.
Yeah, like a relic.
Yep. So they're basically relics. And yeah, they're valuable, but like they're not something you'd want to like mess with.
Yeah, certainly not. Let's move on. He'll just keep moving. Let's just try to. I mean, do we need to be sneaky to get past this crew?
You don't think so?
Okay. Let's just slide by them and head toward the cathedral entrance.
Okay.
Mouthing prayers under our breath.
As you walk out mouthing prayers to the Emperor, you turn around and see the entrance behind you, and you look back one last time at the cathedral. And as you turn around in front of you, you notice 2 things. One, the Librarium Mortem, flagged by domineering columns and large hanging flags depicting the symbol of the Adeptus Administratum, lies directly opposite to the cathedral. You know that records at the Librarium Mortem of Barristir might aid you in finding the Gelfratus family necropolis, where the Revelator is purported to be by Prodita Mendax. On the east side of the square lies the Servo Skull Manufactorum. You don't really have a reason to necessarily go there right now, but you can see the crates that were being examined by the Servo Skulls, filled with fresh skulls being led there from the Priory of the Sacred Form out the back. To the west is the main road to Memento Square. This seems to head to the seedy underside of the city and might be as good a place as any to seek out any other help you might need outside of the Librarium Mortem. What do you do?
He points, pen in hand, almost literally the way that these guys keep notes. They specifically make certain that they make a trip back to a necessary Forge World every so often to upload all their data just in case of their untimely death. None of their knowledge is lost. It's all like uploaded. He goes, and he points to the Librarium Mortem. And I mean, that is the only place he's interested in going right now.
Excellent. If the rest of the crew agrees with you and you move forward, you see on the exterior of the Librarium Mortem Doric columns inlaid with grim skull-faced statues marking the front. Easily 200 meters tall, it is almost as large as the cathedral and is constantly expanded. You can see scaffolding on the side of it. It's like New York in winter. It's absolute hell. To accommodate the ever-growing tally of the dead. Battle Sisters of the Order of the Sanctified Shield patrol the steps and entrance regularly. As you enter the building, it takes a moment for your eyes to adjust to the dim light as you hear the whir and click fly past your faces. It's one of just dozens of floating servo skulls, all carrying candles, patrolling the shelves and providing what little illumination there is. As you look up, hundreds of feet in the air, you see thousands more servo skulls whirring and clicking, scanning books, moving them from shelf to shelf, preserving and maintaining the billions of records kept here. As you gather your bearings, the strangely soothing peace of this like school of fish is what I like to think of it as. It's like you're in an aquarium that you're looking up at, and you see the school of servo skull fish operating peacefully. The soothing peace is shattered by the muttering of a voice. By the golden throne, Feth it all! Holy terror, embrace me! What do you do?
Start firing.
Look for
Wildly.
For the Emperor!
No need for so much emotion.
Look for the source of the voice. Where is it?
You don't even need to roll an awareness check. You can follow the curses and through the orange gloom of this building. Half hidden behind piles of scrolls and data slates, you see a twitchy, tired-looking woman at the front desk. And she looks like this.
yeah.
Her eyes are wide and she has some purity seals on her, a pauldron made of bones and a skull, and she looks augmented primarily around her cerebrum.
Yeah, she looks like she's had better days.
And she's there by herself. There's just these servo skulls with candles. And we don't think they have any other function like recording like us walking around.
The comings and goings of all attendees of the Librarium Mortem.
They probably do that as well. But what can you do?
What can we do?
There's
We're on a
thousands
mission.
of them.
We're pod committed at this point.
Yeah. So you see this woman behind. She's the only one behind the desk. You see other people reading books at desks around you, checking things out. Scholars, you probably think. But yeah, she's by herself behind the desk. Do you want to talk to her?
We wouldn't stand out. Like if we did that, people wouldn't be like, wait a minute, who are these people?
No, I could simply say I am a researcher. Here on the Emperor's business. I'm sure she could lead us in the right direction, perhaps. Save some time.
Would you like
are
me to
merely
stand directly
researchers'
behind
friends.
you?
Stay close. Yes.
All right.
He'll walk up to her.
Okay.
Excuse me, my dear.
Does she stop ranting and do I get her attention?
She stops scrawling on whatever she's scrawling and organizing whatever paper she's organizing, and she looks up from her pile of unending work and says, What? What is it you want? Can't you see that I'm busy? Busy. I have one task: to record every single death in the Gilead system due to the gathering daemon assault from the Great Rift. What is it that you want?
I want a simple chore. Should be nothing more. We are sent by the Gilfredus family to do some research on their lineage. Could you point me in the direction of such documents?
Well, before we go any further, you may refer to me by my name, Archivist Abeba of the Adeptus Administratum. I'm currently the archivist in charge and solely responsible for the records and workings within the Librarium Mortem. She goes to a card catalog next to her. Let me see here. She starts rifling through a card catalog. Gelfradus, you said Gelfradus? Gelrico. Yes. Gil Monaco. She's flipping faster and faster. Gil House, this... Gil Fratus. Yes. You'll need to access the datapad over there. She points to a dusty, unused data screen. There aren't many who have time apart from their day labor and devotion to the Emperor to inquire into the histories of our lesser families. But go on, have fun.
Okay. And I turn around and start walking towards the thing.
Yeah, like I thought about having a smart comeback about like, you know who's really working for the Emperor, motherfucker? But instead I'm like, not gonna start. She already gave us the info we need. I'm just gonna move on.
I feel like I literally can't deduce like her sarcasm. So I'm like, okay, I will.
Yeah. Everybody's working for the Emperor. We get it.
That's correct.
Everybody's working for the
You turn around
Emperor.
and everyone that was sitting reading a book is dead.
Not again.
Wombat.
Asriel, you had one job. To watch Wombat. Make sure he did not assassinate everyone.
I've yelled at him and yelled at him. I've said many prayers. Yes. Wombat, this is not in keeping with our mission.
After seeing the image of our God Emperor, I felt compelled to do paeans in his honor.
Stop! Do you want me to get the spray bottle? Because I will.
I was about to say it's like having a toddler that's definitely going to poop itself at some point, but it's more like taking care of Mush. He just pees on everything.
He's gonna pee. He's gonna pee.
He's gotta
There's nothing
accept
you
it.
can do.
Well, this data slate is adjacent to the area that was recently slaughtered. Beside the desk, you see a short queue of functionaries from the Administratum, Ecclesiarchy, and Adeptus Sororitas, basically researchers from each branch of the Imperium government. Each of them keys in some information into their own dusty data screen that's separate from yours, nearby the desk. And then they watch above as a waiting servo skull soars into the darkness above, lit only by those gloomy orange candles I mentioned earlier, disappears for a moment and returns having retrieved a tome. Feels a lot like a busy campus library. There are several tables nearby where some scholars are reviewing records and remarking at the recently slaughtered nearby them, and they look at it, move on to their book. You see the unattended data slate, and you can access it. What do you do?
Iota, would you
Yes.
take a look?
Yes. Looking. She's doing whatever she's doing, typing.
So
She's got like one eye like watching the person next to her to see what they're looking up.
I love this iguana gecko-esque type of thing going on here.
I don't know if that's canon, but she can do that.
I love it. No, I think that makes total sense. As you type Gelfratus in there, which is probably what you would do, or any variation thereof, you receive the message, Adept unavailable. So it's just giving you like a 404 not found message.
Can you hack it? Perhaps there is some hidden data they don't want us to see.
Yes, I'm wondering if there is some sort of blocker that we can convince this machine to be unblocked.
Sure. Would you like to use a similar ability to earlier?
Give me a chance. Perhaps a bit of this.
He goes into his like coat and he pulls out a vial of sacred machine oil. Is that what that's used for?
It's often used in communing with machine spirits and can use in rituals to like enhance them and stuff. I'm not sure if it's ever been used in like hacking or like what you're trying to do necessarily.
Well, then I'll just put this away.
Sadly.
That away.
Yes.
Perhaps, Iota, you could do the check you were doing before.
So, yeah, I'll want to go in and try to converse with this machine spirit to see if the 404 is legit, like it's not present in the library.
Sure, go ahead and roll the check.
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's Let's go.
Show off.
Oh, I got an exalted on. No, I didn't.
Wrathjohn?
No, I didn't.
Damn it.
I did get 2 of the double icons, so 2, 4, 5, 6 total.
Wow. That's still legit.
This is a DN9 check. This is an extreme difficulty of text. It would be equivalent to lifting an Achilles ridge runner, intuiting a murderer's identity after examining a victim's wound, or lying to an inquisitor. I love that detail. That lying to an inquisitor is so difficult. It's a DN9 that see right through it.
Omnissiah has willed it. I cannot find a way to commune with the machine spirit in this way.
Can we use glory, burn glory after the fact?
No.
Can we help after the fact?
The system feels the hacking because the DN is so high, and it basically turns into a lockdown, and it starts beeping. And as it starts beeping, Archivist Abeba looks up over her columns and locks eyes with one of you, and both of her arms. She flings everything to the top of her desk and says, "What are you doing?"
My dear, there seems to be a problem with your computer system. Your machine spirit is finicky. It says there is no data on the Gilfredis family.
She walks.
Do you know why that would be?
She walks over and she pulls out like a diagnostic combi tool and plugs it in and flicks through. Zzz, 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 fingers moving at lightning speed. Oh, Kalidas. Oh, poor Kalidas. I knew I forgot something. Oh, no.
What is it? Speak.
The Kalidas were missing. The Kalidas. The Kalidas is not simply one whom, but several. In life, they were conjoined twins. Mort and Thana Kalida. Oh, their organization systems and attention to details were exquisite. Often, if I can tell you a secret, I veered into heretical thought as I considered my jealousy of them. Why did the Emperor not make me a conjoined twin? I would accomplish so much more for his glory. She becomes lost in thought. In death, the Kalidas still serve, and as in life, they're nothing short of exceptional. They are a magnificent servo skull, responsible for a vast swath of this librarian's records, including the ones which you seek. They kept many of their memories after being converted into servo skulls, and as such, I came to rely greatly on them. They serve as my personal assistants, both at home and at work. But they're missing.
Missing? When? When did they go missing?
A few weeks ago, I was making the sojourn from the Librarium Mortem to my hab room when a scummy, faith-mongering scraps hunt accosted me and the Kalidas. He had an eye patch and mismatched teeth, and before I could acclimate to his street-ripe stench, he asked for my kind assistance in reading a prayer book, claiming illiteracy. As you no doubt know, most of the Emperor's subjects find salvation through labor rather than through works of the mind. She looks at your Lex Mechanic output and kind of has a flirtatious look at that point. She's like, you're into the same things I am. Dewey Decimal, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you get it.
You guys vibing right now? You guys are totally vibing.
I would totally swipe right on you.
Could we have the room?
Clear out! Clear out! The sex that will glorify the Emperor's name! Garbage in, garbage out. So saith the Emperor.
So saith the Emperor.
So she, after about 20 or 30 seconds, we come back. And she continues. I saw this as an opportunity to redeem one that strayed far from the Emperor's light. As I began to read from the tome, The scum ensnared the Kalidas in a net and ran off toward the downtown slums. Oh, woe is me, and woe has become the Kalidas.
Is it common for Kalidas to be, or the skull things, I don't know if that's all their names, to be stolen?
No. I mean, if it would be like an act of someone very desperate or on the edges of society to do something like this,
would it be considered heretical?
Dun, dun, dun. Absolutely.
Just to clarify, what just happened? The Kalidas, is that that is a proper name of twin skull servos?
Yeah, so
that held a lot of knowledge, but some of which is the knowledge we seek. And they were stolen.
Yeah, so each skull basically has like a section of 1 million records that they oversee, and they go off and find. And in addition to being the assistant to Archivist Abeba, the Kalidas are like this super servo skull that's in charge of the area of records you're looking for. And so she continues at that point. If you want information on these Gelmonicos or whatever they're called, I promise you that the Kalidas can find it for you, just as I promise fair recompense to you for, in my own humble way. I imagine that this ne'er-do-well resides somewhere in Memento Square, where the shadows are longest, and life is at its very cheapest, and the melodrama is at its highest. Go there if you wish to assist this poor archivist. Go there if you ever wish to find the Gilfraudus family crypt amongst the untold billions. She points outside the door, and you see lightning crack and just like a wall full of mausoleums that are just totally indistinguishable from each other in a crooked outline. You see in the background. Needle in a haystack.
Right on time. So this shit really is melodramatic. It's like everything about this is melodramatic. It's amazing.
Could you give any further description of this heretical thief? What did he look like? Was it even a man?
Well, I can tell you he was wearing an eye patch.
Right.
So if you're looking,
he's a pirate.
I didn't get that impression, but I may have missed his cutlass, and the parrot I didn't see, but he also had
one leg.
Wombat starts writing.
One pirate. What was the second part?
Did he give any indication as to which ship he served upon? Where might his buried treasure be hidden?
Right.
I'm going to have to homebrew this ship in harbor that doesn't exist on Daedalon.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the make of his cutlass?
To Port Royal, my brothers.
We're going pirate hunting.
All right, so it's a man, a human, eye patch,
Mismatched teeth, I can tell you that.
mismatched teeth.
He smelt like a gutter.
What kind of gutter?
Oh,
Like your dead body gutters?
no, more like a...
Excrement gutter?
no, like a alcohol-soaked rat gutter.
Oh, like
Yes,
a bar
I know
sink.
that gutter.
Yeah, I suppose I don't imbibe myself.
I didn't ask that.
Oh, well, I was just thinking, what do you think about tattoos, by the way?
Second question.
Well, now
getting
that
to
you
know each
ask,
other.
and she rips her chest plate open and shows you her cool holographic tattoo to her god.
Oh, that's right. She actually does have a holographic tattoo.
Why didn't you tell me you were a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus? I would have been much more helpful from the get-go.
Why can't you just be helpful to everyone?
I'm married
harsh.
to my job, and I have nothing else in my life but the crushing, unending, unceasing work that greets me here every day. So I'm sorry, I need to work on my people skills.
You definitely do. Coming from her, that's a Yeah.
All right, there's no time for this. We must get this wretched square. Memento Square, is it?
Yes,
Is that what you
yes.
said?
Yes, Memento Square.
Memento Square.
Can you point us in the direction of this district?
Yes. Ooh, you're a rather tall one, aren't you? Okay. She just doesn't even notice that you're
Twas not always so.
I imagine not. Yes, and she walks out to the front and she points you down the road that goes past the Servo Skull Manufactorum straight down towards Memento Square. You can't see it from here, but you can walk down it. And speaking of people skills, mechanically, it's worth pointing out some of the social capabilities you have in future encounters. There's cunning, which is modified by fellowship. All of these, well, half of them are fellowship and a couple of them are willpower. Cunning lets you use street smarts to contact criminals. Deception allows you to lie convincingly. Insight allows you to detect lies, so you would roll an insight versus a deception posed if you were trying to lie to someone. Intimidation to bully or threaten. Leadership to inspire others into action, usually in a moment of combat. Intimidation and leadership are modified by willpower. And persuasion, which is to convince or change an opinion. So you see the paths in Memento Square, and you head out?
Yeah.
All right, as you walk out from the Librarium Mortem, you get to the west down a main road that leads to Memento Square. You see the architecture changed, and you know, based off of, some of Britannicus's initial lore rolls on Daedalon, that hundreds of thousands died during the Gilead Crusade to liberate the system from the clutches of the ruinous powers. And in the following years, many heretical cells revolted against the imperial rule that brought peace to this place. The skulls and bones of rebellious leaders were cobbled together to create this square as a constant reminder of the Emperor's crushing light. When barristers, impoverished citizens need to trade tech, favors, or holy relics, they head to Memento Square. Grave robbers mingle with scribes and adepts, exchanging goods and information at this gathering point for members of the dark side of the city. As you walk through this macabre scene, you hear a voice separate itself from the crowd. Saints' toes, fresh medics, and the most powerful prayers to protect you from that hole in the sky. You can get anything you dream of from Kalia's discount pawn and such. She points at Joe's character. You there, Lex Mechanic. Perhaps you need a new liver after you've been running on oil all these years. Then she points at Kate's character, Iota. And you, Scatarius. I don't know what's left of your passes for flesh and blood, but perhaps you could use some new augmetic eyes. She gestures.
How dare you imply? How dare you imply?
My eyes are awesome.
She gestures then to Wombat Sextable. And there, you look like you favor danger. Perhaps you could use an augmetic arm implant, eh? Eh? And she looks at Skid's character, Azriel. She's a bit scared. But she's ready to do business nonetheless.
I'll walk. Sorry. Go ahead, Skid.
Azrael walks up.
Merchant,
Ask for a discount in that voice.
merchant, have you been approached by a pirate looking for a replacement eye?
She's shaking her boots, and you see like a pool of urine go underneath her as your Space Marine, clearly Space Marine, and everyone in the 100-meter radius around turns and sees this 9-foot tall guy talking with a modular voice box. And
every one of those people has a 1 in a trillion chance of seeing a Space Marine. Let's not forget this.
They all just won Mega Ball.
Yeah. This is what Kalia looks like, by the way. She's got this kind of less purity seals than you saw in Archivist of Beba, but she's got this big bone-lined backpack, and she's carrying some sort of device next to her on a table that kind of looks like a Ghostbusters ecto containment unit. Some spare pauldrons in front of her. She seems like a tinkerer and a trader. And you can see those bones of the heretics behind her that have built this district.
These augments are clutch because, I mean, we don't need them now, but once you start getting injured, like if you get wrath failures, you can just lose limbs left and right depending on what you roll on the table. So you have to go get augments. We should probably just stock up.
And the augments are also great because they often function better than your biological part.
Right.
And how does buying things work?
So there's wealth, and wealth, kind of like ammo in this game, represents kind of a abstract sum of money. There's a value assigned to everything. Each value, like an augmetic eye, for example, has a value of 6. Rarity is uncommon, so it's not too hard to find, but it's pretty expensive for characters of your level. And in this district, where did it go? Much is available in Memento Square markets, but little that would be of use to the agents. Any common or war gear with the Imperium keyword can be found. And the only weapons available are those with the scum keyword. Which probably wouldn't be a weapon any of you would actually deign to use.
But how does wealth actually work? Is it like if you have a wealth score of 6, you can just get it?
Yep.
And you don't lose any wealth. It's just your wealth score is 6.
No, you would reduce that wealth now. Like you could have spent 1 of XP to buy wealth at character creation.
So how do you gain wealth? By completing missions and stuff like that? It's like XP and wealth?
Yes, exactly.
Got it. But it's not like gold pieces or anything. It's more of a nebulous sort of currency.
Yes, correct.
In the game terms?
Exactly.
Cool. Cool. Well, anyway, so what does the merchant say to the question, has she been approached by a pirate looking for an eye implant?
She just shakes in her boots and says, No, I have not. I can't say that I've seen any pirates here in quite a while indeed. And then she kind of looks down at her belts.
Let me do a little, can I do an insight?
Absolutely.
I also will.
What are you keeping from us?
2 successes on that. Oh!
Okay.
5 successes.
Oh!
Okay, so she has a deception of 6.
Ooh.
And her deception is modified by her fellowship of 4, so I'm rolling 10 dice on this. Let's see.
Oh my goodness.
What were
She has a 6 rating? Well, she is a merchant. Makes sense.
Remember, you beat
6 successes, Grant.
2 exalted, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, you can use a wrath die. You can use a wrath point to reroll all your failed dice.
I rolled my final die. I have 9 successes. So.
Wait a minute. You rolled 10 die and 9 were. Oh, well, you got some 6s.
Yeah, I got 3 6s out of that.
Oof. Okay. So there's no point in re-rolling your failed die, right, Skid?
I think
I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
I don't have any failed dice.
you guys rolled well enough on your insight check, though, even though you were looking for deception. You rolled well enough on your insight test to like connect the dots from her eyes
her
down to her
looking
belt.
down to her belt.
And
Could I do an awareness on her belt?
Sure.
Me too.
Is it better to do these checks separate, or is it better to like help?
Aid.
Yeah.
I haven't crunched the numbers on it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to give it a shot. I have a lot of awareness dice. Let's see.
2 successes.
Okay.
7 die, 1 success.
Oh, God.
7 die.
Let's spend the wrath point and reroll.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yes.
You get to reroll all your failed dice.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go. Here we go. Coming at you, Grant.
Don't forget to mark your sheet.
Don't forget to mark your sheet, fella. 4 more, so 5 total successes.
All right,
Nice.
so it was a DN3 check.
Nice.
You made
Maybe.
it. You have 1 wrath point now. You'll get awarded those for doing some of your objectives, or if you do something awesome that I award you a point for.
Question. We had 4. Did we spend those or do we lose them?
Those were glory points.
Sorry.
Everyone starts with 2 wrath points. We're gonna
wrath point to reroll. I gotcha.
And we're going to consider this playthrough 1 play session. It's something
All right,
interesting.
so I've used one of my 2 and I've got 1 left.
Correct.
Got it.
And I might refresh you at a certain point. It's up to me, but
Forgot about that.
And I think you can, it's kind of like Modifius systems too, where you can only carry over 2 glory points after a rest.
Got it.
Right?
I think it's
A
after
long rest.
play sessions, maybe for sure. But yeah, we'll look into that. No one's in danger of that right now, but we'll double check when and if someone does. So you notice, Joe, a key dangling from Kalia's bandolier. The top of the key is shaped into a shield emblazoned with the Aquila between 2 rampant lions.
Okay. Scholar check
Yeah.
on the symbol.
I'll throw one in too, just to see if Wombat recognizes it for narrative's sake. No, 1 success.
4 successes.
Yeah, it's an easy success. You just had to remember back to the data slate. It was described by Prodita Mendax as the Gelfradas family crest.
Yes. I thought it might be. Okay. Excellent. So he'll peer down at it and look back up at her and say,
Merchant, I can't help but notice you wear the Gelfradas family crest on your belt. Are you a descendant of the family?
This key?
That is the one.
How did you describe it? As the Gelfradas, or did you describe it as an Aquila between 2 rampant lions?
I said the Gelfradas family crest is what I said.
She pulls out a key. She doesn't know what the Gelfradas family crest is. She pulls out a key that features a tire burning on asphalt. I normally don't rent out my automobile, but I suppose I could listen to Office.
No. Your belt. The Aquilus. Between 2 rampant Johns.
She kind of has like a janitor's belt of keys, and she's like, oh, you mean this one? What in Feth's name do you want with a key like this?
It is, of little import. Simply a trinket that I would like for a collection of mine. I have a ranging collection of various family heirlooms. This old family I remember, and I don't have a key of their make.
Can I roll a deception to try to?
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to play off that, like, as if I was like, it's to a tomb that's really important. I don't want her to be like, well, then it's going to be $1 million.
Right.
So I'll roll a deception, I guess.
Yeah, and it's versus my awareness.
Or is it your insight?
Insight, which is modified by my fellowship.
All right, here we go. Oh my God, I'm rolling so bad right now. Everything is falling apart. 2 successes.
I get to roll 12 dice on this.
Cheaper.
So there's no chance.
Yeah, it's like 8 successes.
Does intimidation work against that same roll for you?
Well, it's a different roll, right?
Yeah, it's a
That's
different.
what I'm curious.
It would be against my. I think it would be against my resolve. That's what you do to roll against fear. I would need to double check that. But if you want to roll,
That makes sense.
and intimidate.
So if I see Rex floundering, Wombat
Yeah.
will step up.
She's not buying it.
We want the key. My friend does not ask for much in this world, but that key is of great import to him. We are willing to pay the price, whether that be in wealth or blood.
Go ahead and roll and intimidate.
All right.
What's your intimidate?
4.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Here come the rocks. 2 successes.
Okay.
I just have burning glory.
No successes. So you successfully intimidate Kalia.
Wow.
Nice.
I stab her anyway.
Cowering. She has lightning cat-like reflexes and dodges the blade. You try to send her aside, and as she is cowering in fear, she steps back, but from the crowd, just a group of shady individuals steps out to surround her. And it's like 50 people. And you know that it's probably not good business to intimidate her in this area, the seat of her power. She says, gets her gumption back as she looks toward left and right in her peripheral vision, and she says, "Seems to me, for whatever reason you may have interest in ancient tombs, you want this key? Oh, you do anything for this key. I can taste it. All right, I'll trade you, fair and square." Looks right at Rex sex table, deep in the eyes.
Wombat sex.
Wombat.
Rexington sexting.
Rex was my father.
Wombat kangaroo pouch.
Rex sex table was my father.
All we ask is you get this ridiculous name right.
All I ask for in return is a single holy finger bone from the Barra family interred in Barristier Chapel.
Oh, God.
We were just there.
That holy place, you would have us defile it.
I would.
But you live in their very shadow. You don't think they'd come for you?
I do.
Once they heard you have it.
I live off the scraps that fall from their well-lit table in these shadows, and it's time for me to get a piece of the main portion.
Sounds to me like someone's little bitter about being poor. Maybe if you had just worked a little harder.
Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. Everyone who's rich got there through hard
And kindness.
And
Generosity.
you, people like you, always try to cut them down.
It's
All right.
about the hustle.
So, we
Why
know...
the finger? What will you do with it?
You don't need to know what I want to do with it. The finger might scratch any number of itches I might have. So we have Britannicus's position on this. Iota, what do you think about it? Do you want to, does something like this intrigue you?
Yeah, I think that she just keeps remembering like all of this is for like a higher need. So that supersedes it. And she's cool with, I guess, having to go get that to move forward.
Skid, what does Azrael think about this?
Is this kosher imperially? Like,
Absolutely not.
it's not at all.
I don't know. I'm just...
I mean, yeah. Like, what would where would the creed fall on this?
Yeah, just let me know his gut reaction, and then I'm going to go on to Troy.
I mean, gut reaction, he's kind of judging the crowd, seeing how many of these people he could take out while he lives.
After he's able to like make that calculation with his incredible training, and he considers taking the finger from there, what does he think?
I mean, if it doesn't seem feasible, even with our might, that we can take this thing by force, yeah, I think maybe there's enough pragmatism in him that he would be willing to trade this thing for the key. I don't know.
Wombat sex table. What are your thoughts on it? Are you all in on this mission?
Yeah, Wombat understands that this may not be totally above board, but Wombat was given a mission, and the key is part of that mission. And if the only way we can get the key is retrieving this finger, then so be it, in the name of the God Emperor.
All right.
I feel like all of us except for Azrael kind of have this underlying thought of like they bend the rules sometimes because we're here. So
Yeah.
All of you who have seriously considered such a blasphemous crime need to roll me a DN5 conviction test.
I'm going to fail that.
Conviction is equal to your willpower, so that is the number of die you will be rolling against this.
Man.
Only Britannicus was able to resist the heretical temptation of stealing such a holy relic.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. All right. Can I use glory after the fact?
I think so.
Think so.
Yeah.
I can't remember. All right. Well, let's see what happens.
That totally went against my instincts. I was just trying to move the show along.
Yeah, I know.
That's all I was trying
they're
to do.
trapping you.
I don't
It's
think
so
Azrael
clever.
would ever think that, but I thought it was the right thing to do for the show. So I
I
made
know.
a
I know it's
mistake,
frustrating.
and
That's why I kept on asking you for like the gut reaction. Sorry to frustrate you, but I like
2
the idea.
exalted dies, wrath critical, 5 successes.
Wow. Everyone else?
3.
3. Okay.
I got 1 success.
1 success.
Oh, Azrael.
All right.
So upset right now.
Grant really pushed you into it, Skid. He made you do it.
Honestly, I just want the show to be finished in the allotted time. That's all I was trying to do. I was trying to think of a way to justify him going completely against everything he's about and just get the show finished. That's all I wanted to do.
Kate, you take 2 points of corruption. You are still considered pure. Skid, you take 4 points of corruption. You are still considered pure. If you gain 5 points of corruption, your DNs will go up by 1. At the 5th level of corruption, you turn into Chaos Spawn and will become mindless and controlled by me and attack your party.
All right. I am never making any decision like this ever again based on what I think people want to see. It's never going to happen again across any show on the network.
Good.
I'm only... That's it.
So Wombat is stronger than ever, and with my wrath critical, what happens?
You are visited by a message from the Emperor redirecting your murderous rage to another location. You know that robbing that tomb would be heresy and not what the Emperor wants. And Kalia sees this kind of divine reckoning kind of wash over some of you and says, "Listen, I can see you are all reasonable folk. I got this key from Diomedes. He's a mate that gave me a good deal on it.
Well, we know that name.
Yes, we do.
If you can get him to give me back what I gave him, the key's yours. You can usually find him on top of or under a stool at the Jolly Undertaker, depending on how deep he is in his cups."
Oh, it was a pirate.
That's more like it. You wouldn't want the heat on your back from that finger. We will speak with this Diomedes and we will return.
All right, I'll see you later.
Peace.
Wombat turns back and looks at her.
You may hide behind your minions, but know this. You shall never tempt us again. Foul sorcerer.
Azrael has left the planet.
So as
Azrael?
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 Oh no. I believe he felt the taint of corruption.
He's over there peeing by that statue.
Is he peeing on a statue of the Emperor?
No, it's just a statue of some guy. It's not heretical.
So as you head your way to the Jolly Undertaker, maybe
For our audio listeners, Skid has left. He left. He's very angry. He's
Azrael's
upset.
taking a jetpack to the Jolly Undertaker while the rest of you walk down side streets, I think.
I can't believe you did that to him, Grant. It's really upsetting. There is no one more loyal to the Emperor than literally Skid. Not even Azrael. Skid.
Well, I mean,
Fiercely loyal to the Emperor.
I feel awful about it, but that's why I gave him so many chances to say gut reaction.
No, I get you.
What do you want?
It's a cool mechanic. It's a very cool mechanic.
Yeah,
it's like
and
if you even think about maybe the Emperor would be okay with this and you're wrong, slam.
Right.
They just like hit you with corruption.
And, mechanically it hasn't done anything. And I think that Skid, back on the straight and narrow, will be able to find a way to cleanse himself of said corruption.
How do you do it mechanically?
There's a way to absolve yourself, and it's a bit complicated and hard. But like as a GM, I think I would allow you like moments of prayer at the top of the day to cleanse yourself of corruption. I wouldn't allow Troy, if he failed the test, to cleanse himself so easily. Maybe through a ritualistic murder of the correct person, but I think someone like Skid's character would be able to cleanse himself quite easily. And up to underneath 5 points, there's no mechanical difference.
Effect.
So you head down a few side streets, navigating the cobblestone for any open sewers, avoiding the skittering rats that seem to have more control over this place than you could ever hope to. You're surrounded by crumbling hab blocks partially constructed from cast-off bones from the Priory of the Sacred Form. Each avenue and alley looks much the same as the last, and you feel like you're lost. Every once in a while, you'll see like an errant newspaper boy or someone doing like a dirty drug deal on the side of the streets, and you feel like maybe trying to rustle up information from them might be your best path forward. So in order to do that in this game mechanically, you would roll a cunning check. So if anyone is great at cunning, let me know.
I'm not good at any of this. I think Iota's along for the ride with talking to people.
I could give it a try. You there? Paper boy. Come over here.
Yes? Would you like a paper?
What is your cunning, Wombat?
Just my my base.
Gotcha. We'll call him over and say, what do we say? We are looking for, should I say Diomedes? What was the name of the bar again?
Jolly Undertaker.
Jolly Undertaker.
Yeah.
We look for the Jolly Undertaker. Can you lead us there, or can you give us directions?
Yes, maybe. I don't know. What's your cunning check?
There'll be something in it for you, should you show us the way.
That is 2 exalted and 1 regular, so 5 successes on a cunning.
No complication on your wrath dice?
No.
Okay. Be sure to call
Complication is just a 1, right?
Just a 1 on the wrath.
Because it was a 2.
Okay. Great. Well, that changes things.
The Jolly Undertaker, well, you just take a left here, and then you take a right, and then... Hold on, I'll draw it for you.
He pulls out like a yesterday's newspaper and draws it on the back.
You want to buy today's paper, too?
No, get out of here.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll go back to not complaining about being poor.
I don't want to hear it.
So you guys navigate his map, and you see like a sign of like an undertaker with a shovel smiling with crooked teeth. Far from a reputable establishment, the Jolly Undertaker is the quintessential scum den. Barely identifiable as a building outside from that sign, the dilapidated bar is cobbled together from reclaimed tomb masonry and gargoyles. The interior is dark and undecorated, lit by greasy candles that illuminate the rubble used as furniture. As you walk in, you can see the proprietor serving a moonshine in the mason jars that smells similar to promethium, which is the fuel in the 40K universe. It feels like an old western as you step in, where the piano player stops, and everyone in the saloon turns to look at the person entering the bar.
Look at all these rich people walking in.
They showered recently. The patrons here are bone pickers. Others are laborers that have lost their jobs after becoming mutated. It's kind of like a Futurama bar. You hear one man with one augmetic leg and one peg leg bemoan, "I used to work for the Inquisition until those fething servitors shot down my men in the boneyards." A 40K equivalent of, "I used to be an adventurer like you, then I took an arrow in the name."
Yes.
He catches eyes with one of you, stares a little too long, and then goes back to drinking. What are y'all's passive awareness? That is going to be your awareness skill in half.
And I assume we round up by 2?
You would round up, yep.
Oh, you do actually round up?
You round up in this system.
Oh, sweet.
3.
4.
It is 2.
Okay, so anyone with an passive awareness of 3 or above, you don't need to make a check, and you can just, I won't make anyone else roll the check, you can just fill in everyone else. You notice the following things. One of the patrons has their hands reversed, clearly visible as they bring the moonshine to their lips. An eye on a pseudopod, which is just a long kind of like almost phallic, like just gross extension. Eye on the end of a pseudopod appears from the bottom of a muscular man's robe, looking up at all of you, then disappears, slipping back in. Sitting alone in the corner is a man with greasy, mud-soaked clothes and a wide grin full of mismatched teeth and an eye patch. Diomedes. The noisome stench of the dark, viscous liquid Diomedes nurses in the back of the Jolly Undertaker travels for a few meters and follows him wherever he goes. He is an opportunistic braggart who views himself as a savvy businessman and ruler of downtown Barrister. As his reputation precedes him, probably the little newsboy told you this. Mm-hmm. Diomedes has a massive but fragile ego, spidery hands, and a rattling voice that ends almost every sentence with spit. He's currently seated 10 meters behind a velvet rope that really stands out in this dingy bar. He eyes you.
Greetings. Welcome to the court of Diomedes. What can I do you for strangers for on this grim evening?
We come with a request for Your Majesty. I don't know what to call this dude. We call somebody who thinks they're in charge of the place.
Majesty,
my lord, whatever. Yeah. We come with a request. You traded that merchant, that filthy merchant. What's her name? Kalia?
Kalia, yep.
You traded Kalia a certain key.
Oh, the key to the Gelfrodus family crypt. Yes.
That is the one. We are interested in acquiring it. She would only release it if we returned to her what she gave to you in the exchange.
Oh, you mean this?
And he pulls out an augmetic eye.
I've been thinking about getting an upgrade. But I am a businessman, and I like business propositions, provided, of course, that I am offered something in return. I can take you straight to the Gelfrodus necropolis for a price. But what can you offer me? Remember, you're in my court.
And as he smiles, his mismatched teeth really become apparent, and you remember Archivist Abeba's description.
Yeah. I just don't understand. So this dude stole the skulls. Okay, so how about he says... Fuck. Jesus.
Well...
Could I do a roll? Could I, roll to... Can I roll, an investigation or something like that? Like, to have an idea of... or is it cunning? To, have an idea of what, a street rat criminal like this would find valuable. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know him, so I get that's maybe not possible, but...
Cunning makes sense. It allows you to think and act like those who operate outside of the law. That's in the first line of the description.
Just being a calculator, I'm trying to put the math together. How do these people operate? What do they value? All right, here we go. Quick cunning check. Wow, 2 successes.
2 successes. You get the sense that maybe he's going to need assistance getting there. He's just one man. He's the king of this place. But if he were to leave the Jolly Undertaker, he wouldn't retain much of the power he holds in his court. So maybe your barter is that you can kind of escort him there?
To the tomb?
Mm-hmm. he offered to take you there, but like, you know, there might be valuable stuff in there for him. Maybe you want to say like he can have whatever else besides the Revelator.
Yeah, that makes sense. So he'll say, we're interested in one particular item within the tomb. As you can see, we are well armed and well equipped. And he looks up at Azrael. He looks over at Wombat. Over at Iota. They look like bad asses. He's just like, going alone would be suicide. But with us in tow, you could have access to the tomb and anything you'd want within. Of course, we need just one item. The rest is yours.
Very interesting proposition indeed. Well, I suppose I could take you there. But I don't want to part with this eye just yet.
And you're just both kind of in thought here.
Perhaps. Look, I understand you're also a man who appreciates acquiring knowledge. Knowledge on perhaps those who live here or the world around you. I am somewhat of a purveyor of that knowledge. I could exchange for you a great deal of information. Perhaps this could tip the scale.
Do you plop a sack of information and instead of a $sign on the side of it, it just says knowledge?
Well, he pulls out like a data slate.
Oh, okay.
It's just like,
could exchange a great deal of information.
I mean, I don't think that it would be I don't think it would be uncouth, for example. It's not the right word, but I think that I could tell him that I'm a Lex mechanic, right? That like I work for what are they called, Kate?
The tech priests.
Yeah, that I work for the tech priests and that like I have a great deal of knowledge that I could transfer to him as part of this exchange.
So you lay down this data slate. Maybe there's a table right at the edge of the velvet rope. And right as you
leans over, sets it down, and then steps back.
Skittering off from the side is a tiny figure in a little bowler's cap. Grabs the slate, takes it over to him, turns around. You see the face of the newsboy you asked for directions here, too.
Those were the ones asking around about you, Diomedes. They're looking for you. They want you. Oh, they want you, and they got in a fight with Kalia earlier. I saw them threaten her.
Diomedes takes in this information and says,
Well. I assume it had to come to this after all. Thanks for the information, Lex Mechanic. Last call!
And with that, the patrons of the bar coalesce into 3 distinct mobs led by the people you saw earlier. The peg leg, the woman with reversed hands. Let's get grimdark. It's time for combat.
And we'll see you next week.
Oh no! Let's do it right now!
Oh, it's finally time for kicking ass!
Oh man, I was gonna make the joke that when you look around, all the other patrons are dead while you were talking. I should have made that joke!
You should have made that joke!